Hello. I wrote this one last year on my birthday, and it feels funny that now I'm thinking about similar things within a month of like my next birthday. So, and also, obviously thinking about similar things, it applies. This one's called 29 because that's how old I was turning. I cry every year on my birthday. Death becomes me on my day of new life. There is a density I have trouble describing, which wakes me up with the weight of wonder and woes. I'm releasing myself, and it's terrifying. Water takes the path of least resistance, and rivers change direction most often in seasons of growth. In uncharted territory, I let myself flow, I let myself go. I can tell you what I have struggled most for is to be myself. Every trial and tribulation, every transformation, I have tried to hold on to it all. Some sense of safety, some landing of logic, but it just leaves me tired and confused. Water takes the path of least resistance, and rivers change direction most often in seasons of growth. I'm looking inside this year, letting it all out this time. My intuition floods even into my limbs. I'm making the choice to follow, to flow, to let myself go. Hi. My name's Abbott, and this is my podcast, Philosophical Laugh Lines. So this episode, I have a very specific idea, so it's not going to be so rambly. I was thinking about how in the last year, since getting my period back, I've had a lot of adjustments of how I decide my perspective. And by this I mean that I feel like since having a period, it's enabled me to, since having a period again, where I'm like much more conscientious of who I am and how my body feels. I've realized that in order to get the full picture in my head of who I am and how I feel, I need to like zoom out, because I feel like with the cycle, like we change as women, change so much within the month. And so it's like you have to zoom out in order to be able to like see your whole self. And that's one thing coming together with this other thing that is like, I feel like when I think of forgiveness and when I think of like the way that I have found looking at things that makes things easier, that makes me feel more in a flow state, is when I can zoom out from whatever it is. Like when I zoom in too close is always when I get anxious, or when I start to overthink, and when I just really get in my head and I'm not living anymore is when I feel like I've noticed a pattern of like, that's when I'm zoomed in too close. Like I can think of like when I was in Tasmania last year and I was really in the throes of unemployment, and I'd been like technically unemployed for over a year already. So I was out of the game and like applying for jobs and like nothing was coming through. And just like when you keep doing that over and over again and you keep getting rejected, like it just starts to weigh on you. And I've also found that when that happens is when I need to make a pivot, and I don't see the pivot until I zoom out. Or anyways. I was trying to get a job in cherry picking, but then the cherries took ages to ripen. And so then luckily, I got to stay with one of my friends that I hadn't spoken with in 10 years. But she was kind enough to open her home to me. and I spent the holidays with her, and that was really nice to like be around people and like be in a set group of friends. And like she had great friends, so it was like I enjoyed hanging out with them as well, which is really just my favorite way to visit people, is to just like, come let me be your roommate for a few days. I really thought of my time traveling as just like being a traveling girlfriend. Like, let me just come and take care of you in a sense for a little while. So but I was honestly more taken care of in Tassie. Like, got just so fucking lucky. I cannot believe my life. And it gave me time to realize that I didn't actually want to do the cherries, because it was like gonna be mostly like internationals and like a bunch of other travelers. And I feel like with Australia, it's been such a goal for me that like I knew I wanted to like actually hang out with locals, like see what the life was like. And because I've always felt drawn to here without a like really clear reason why. I knew the why would be filled in, as is the how. You just gotta focus on like your why. Anyways, so I was with my friend, and she was so kind in like making no pressure of having me leave anytime soon. And so when I'd made this friend on the way to Tassie that already had the cherry picking job, and she texted me at a certain point that she was leaving because it was so little work, and so that there would probably be a spot opening. Wait. But by that point was when I'd realized that I didn't want it. And I can think of when I was in New York and I moved with the intention to get into the publishing industry and like get an assistant job and then just try to work my way up to like getting a book published sort of thing, because that seemed like the most available dream at the time. But it's honestly laughable, like so baffling as to why I thought that a office job would be what would be my way, I guess. Like, I didn't have as many tattoos on my hands now, but now I like obviously have tattoos on my hands. And I know that's not like a automatic negation. Some offices are chill, but it's still just like, I don't know. That's not where I fit. Like, there's not enough space. And the delaying of hearing back from any jobs gave me enough time to realize that that probably wouldn't work. And so then I got a job, or like at least made me start to focus on like, okay, like at least I know I want to work in books. Like it made me zoom out when like focusing on this thing that wasn't working. And oh fuck, that's so good. When something's delayed, it's like, or this is also what I've heard people say, like depression, like the function of depression is that it gives you a moment to pause and like forces you to like look at your surroundings, which I feel like is also the luteal phase, and because of the heightened sensitivity, and like, yeah, just like not as much of a bullshit meter, like your bullshit level is low. Tolerance. Your bullshit tolerance is low. But so then the perspective that I like to have, and also like I feel like when I think of forgiveness of myself and of other people is when I can like zoom out to like allow a different perspective. Like when you learn to like forgive yourself or like not hate yourself for all the mistakes you made or like you feel like you've made, and give yourself grace. Like I feel like that requires zooming out. And so it's like looking at things from God's perspective, because I feel like God embodies all of those things. And God also like has we've always found meaning in the heavens, like desire, inspire, those all the roots of some, there's a common root in those words that means from the stars, from the heavens. And so women have to practice God's perspective. They have to practice zooming out. That's what like the divine feminine can give us, is another perspective. Because we've been zoomed in on the masculine for so long. So one of my favorite podcasts, We Can Do Hard Things, had this guest on, what's her name? Megan Watterson. They had an episode with her, Women's Voices So Dangerous They Buried Them, about Mary Magdalene in the Bible, and how her chapters, I think is what they call it. I was raised Catholic. Her book, I think that's what it is, speaks about how you can reach God within yourself, and how you can like communicate with God with yourself, and it's like through this like inner knowing. Because like when Jesus rose from the grave at Easter, the first person he found, the first word he said was Mary, and she was at his grave when I think the other disciples came by. And like in some of the stories of Mary communicating with God, like she's like, God, how is it that I can see you? And he says, blessed are you because you trust what you experience. Mary is blessed because she does not doubt her vision. This is Christ giving explicit directions on how we can perceive the divine directly. And like thinking about even like Joan of Arc, like why she did what she did was because she had a vision from God. And just like the way we've moved away from that, like just we should all be having visions from God. But at the beginning of the episode, she defines the divine feminine as the images, the stories, the voices of the embodiment of the divine in female form. This is throughout the world, religions, and all throughout time. The spiritual practice of going inward in contemplative prayer or meditation, and connecting to the divine from within the body, no matter who we are. Connecting to the divine from within the body, no matter who we are. And by only having the masculine version of divine, we are seeing God or love or the divine like a cyclops. The divine feminine allows us to have this other lens to see the divine more clearly. It makes sense. Mary, I took notes on this. Mary Magdalene was a spiritual leader in the Christ movement before the 4th century, but then became the penitent prostitute in the Christianity forming under Constantine, because they wanted to centralize power. So Mary was talking about how you didn't need some like outside source to find the divine. You didn't need some outside figure telling you what to do. And there's Thecla is another one that had books that was erased. This solidified the justification of the exclusive male succession of divine authority. And like you can think of so many cults, or like I can think of a few that like are like fundamentalist Christianity. There's a cult in the States that it's like the ultimate, they have like umbrellas of authority, I think. I've talked about them before. No, you're staying inside. And the ultimate umbrella of authority is God, of course. And then it's the pastor, I think, like of the church. And then the father, and then the mother, and then the children. So the children are powerless. I've talked about them before. But, like, yeah, the fact that it's like other guests they've had on this podcast talking about this religion, they like got out of it, talked about how like growing up as a teenager, you were just like waiting for some man to come up and be like, God told me, like, we are meant to, you're my chosen wife, whatever. And it's like you just had to do it because it was a man, and the men have the clearer channel to God, which is just no wonder we've been so out of balance. We're only seeing one side of things. The teachings her gospel contain are like a roadmap for us to be able to hear the divine within us. And you can even just see this in like not in a masculine or feminine or like even associated with women way of like how we've just been so taught to like prescribe meaning or understanding or purpose to things outside of ourselves, like all of the channels that tell us to like listen to what they want us to do, listen to what, only say the things we're supposed to say. This negation of her gospel planted the seed of us doubting / distrusting the voice of God or love within us. You don't need to look somewhere else. It's like, this is so a thing in so many stories of like how what you needed was right there all along. Like, what you needed was right there all along. Like, I think about the alchemist, thinking about all this stuff. I'll get back to the notes in a second, once I'm not using my hands. I've gotten so much more in tune with my intuition. And it's like, I trust her. She's got my back. Like, she's not led me wrong before. Okay, the next note. The eliminating of her stories and the other stories that also spoke of us being able to access that voice / power of love from within us were wiped out because it decentralized power away from the empire. It made you like look to an outside source for your sense of authority. There were these rebellious monks that refused to destroy these scriptures, so they buried them in urns. Beautiful metaphor, because this information was also buried within us. But I feel like we're finding it. If we look at her scripture and take it seriously, it is a metaphysical map to how we can get past the egoic layers that confuse and derail us from being able to have clarity within ourselves. Because she talks about how, like, the 7 deadly sins are actually a misunderstanding of the ego for the soul. The 7 powers is how Mary's books refer, or like stories in Mary's books refer to the 7 deadly sins. And their powers, because they're all opportunities for us to bring love to the situation. We are meant to feel them. We are meant to have a human experience. We are meant to be feeling these things. This is where the juice is. This is where like the marrow of the bone is. This is how we learn about what we're here to do. Interact with your life. None of it is wrong. Learn how to love it. Obviously not in a harmful situation, but And the early Christian societies were practicing equality that was uncommon to the times, since in the first century Roman Empire, the male body was the only one considered whole. And you can see this in the way Peter calls Mary sister. And there's this new, N-O-U-S, is the spiritual eye of the heart. And that's how they call it the mind in the books of Mary. The mind is the spiritual eye of the heart. Wow. So much of life we experience through the mind. But it's when we can zoom out to a soul's perspective. It's when we can zoom out to God's perspective that things make more sense. Where that mind is, there is the treasure. Mary is blessed because she does not doubt her vision. This is Christ giving explicit directions on how we can perceive the divine directly. The new is also described as a diamond blazing with the invisible light of heaven. It's what's already there. It's what's within. But when we get lost in the 7 powers, when we get lost in the 7 deadly sins, it's when we're zoomed in too close. It's when we're mistaking the ego for the soul. When we're getting lost in the sauce. Maybe the juice is where it's at. I do love a sauce. The juice is loose. The juice is loose, but you can get lost in the sauce. Christ rose to Mary out of the tomb, and that wasn't an accident. She was the only one who could perceive him. The first word Christ says when he rose is Mary's name. This is the model of the power of human love. It never ends. It is this bridge between us all. And we all have access to that. We all have access to that. It all goes back to love, man. It's never also not going to be funny how much I've become like a stereotype. Oh, fuck. The books. That's a tomorrow problem. Totally forgot that I was recording. Wow. Stars are so beautiful. Man, life is crazy. I am like the luckiest girl on the planet. Trusting the mind through spiritual connection, connection lasting after death. Believing in the things that you feel that you can't really explain. Believing in the magic that is there if you just decide you can see it. Love is that bridge between this world and whatever may be next. Yes. The body is the soul's chance to be here. Listen to the body. Resurrect in this lifetime. Awaken while in this body, for everything exists within it. We are here to experience our life. Like as a soul, we're here to experience life through this body. This body is supposed to teach us things. This body is full of the lessons that we came here to learn. This body is the compass. Saying it with my chest. Ascension is going up and going in. It's going deeper. And that was crazy to me because that was what my teacher at Spirit School told me to do. She was like, try going up to go in. And because like we'd always talked about it like going deeper, but it feels more like an increasing in density rather than it does feel like going somewhere else. Like part of me goes somewhere else, but like the way my body feels like it's increasing in density. We are only ever as far from power as we are from our own embodiment. Man, it really just like all goes back to how like we are, you are everything you need. You're everything you need. And like finding balance is like, and coherence, like living your truth is what really like gives you the most peace in the world. Shows you how good it can get. Shows you how free you can be. That's what people are talking about with discipline as well. Discipline sets you free when you know what you want, when you know how you want to live, and you're doing it. Rather than like wanting something and not going after it, wanting something and not making space for it. Thinking about how like the divine, or like the feminine is soft, it feels like. Or like that's the first impression. Because feminine, quite tough. It can also be quite tough. But like you can do a lot more with like thinking about oil and water and like allowing something to move, allowing something to like melt, move past each other without losing your own form. Trusting in the way you're being guided, surrendering to the body that you're in, the life that you're experiencing, taking responsibility for the space that you take up. And finding that flow of being able to move while maintaining your self, maintaining your intuition, listening to your soul. God, I love being a woman. What a gift it is. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I did. I hope it hits where it needs to. That was my hand. Yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed that. This is the first episode in a while that I've felt really excited about, and I hope that it excites you guys as much as it did me. Zoom out. Give yourself some grace. Give yourself time. Give yourself space. And follow the ease. Follow the flow. If something is stopping, if something keeps not working out, then it's time to pivot. Me at me. Yeah. I hope y'all are doing well wherever you are. I hope you're laughing with people that you love or people that you will grow to love. And I hope you feel fulfilled. Good night.